Hi, welcome to Seshu-Solutions. This is Anusha. Today I'm going to teach you about adding integers. Okay, so to add two positive numbers, add the two numbers and keep the positive sign. This is what we learned from our first grade or kindergarten. Okay, so to add the positive numbers, we are adding the two positive numbers and keeping the positive sign. So 6 plus 3 is 9. So you'll write plus 9 or you can just write 9. 12 plus 3, which is 15. 22 plus 4, 26. 17 plus 11, 28. 16 plus 8, 24. 24. Okay, so to add the two positive integers or positive numbers, add the two numbers and keep the positive sign. Next, to add two negative integers, add the two numbers and keep the negative sign or minus sign. Okay. Before starting with examples, I just want to write a small table over here. So here we have a plus sign and minus sign, right? So when you have a plus and minus sign next to each other, that may combine to become a minus sign. When you have minus and plus next to each other, combine it to make it as a negative sign. Okay. So when you have a plus and minus sign next to each other, make it minus. Minus and plus next to each other, that is also minus. Okay. So, but when we have two negative signs or two minus signs next to each other, that will become plus sign. Okay. Two minuses or two pluses next to each other, same sign next to each other, combine and just make it as a positive. Okay. So if you know this point, the integers will be very easy. Okay. So now we will read minus, the first example here is minus 10 plus minus 4. So minus 10. When you have plus and minus next to each other, you're making it as minus 4. Okay. So when you're adding two negative integers, that means both the numbers have the same sign, right? In that case, just add the two numbers and keep the same sign. So you're adding 10 plus 4, which is 14, and you're keeping the minus sign because both the numbers have the same sign. Okay. Now you're adding two negative numbers here. So we will write it as minus 9. When you have plus and minus next to each other, make it as minus 7. So you're adding two negative numbers. Just add the two numbers. 9 plus 7 is 16. And because both the numbers have the negative signs, same negative signs, you're keeping the same negative or minus sign. So minus 8. In the third example, minus 8 plus and minus. When you have plus and minus next to each other, it is minus 5. So we are adding two negative numbers. Both the numbers have the same sign. Just add the two numbers. 8 plus 5 is 13 and keep the same sign, minus 13. Okay. Let me do a few more examples. Minus 6. When you have plus and minus next to each other, we will write it as minus 3. Now you will add the two numbers because both of them have the same sign. When both the numbers have the same sign, add the two numbers, 6 plus 3, 9, and keep the same sign, which is minus 9. So minus 2 plus and minus next to each other is minus 6, right? Plus and minus next to each other, you're combining to make it as a minus sign. Now both the numbers have the same sign. So just add the two numbers. 2 plus 6 is 8 and keep the same sign, minus 8. So from these examples, if you have the same sign, add the two numbers and keep the same sign. Okay. There is the third important point in adding integers where most of the kids have trouble. So let me explain that. To add a positive integer, to add a positive integer and a negative integer. Okay, so both the numbers have different signs here. Okay, subtract the two numbers. In that case, we are subtracting the two numbers and you're keeping the sign of a larger absolute value number. Okay, larger absolute value number. I made a video about absolute values, so you can go and check it over there. Or to understand what is an absolute value, let me give a few examples. So absolute value is denoted in two parallel lines. That is the notation of absolute value. Absolute value of -8 is 8. Okay. And absolute value of +8 is also 8. Okay. So absolute value is nothing but the distance from 0. It is always considered it as a positive number. So we are using the sign of a larger absolute value number in this case. Okay. So now to add a positive integer and a negative integer, first do the regular subtraction. So in the first example, we have -8 plus 4. Both the numbers have opposite signs. Subtract the two numbers. 8 minus 4 is 4. And you're keeping the sign of larger absolute value number. So the larger absolute value number is 8 and it has a minus sign. So it will become -4. Okay. Actually, I'll show you a counter method here. Okay, you're adding a -8, so keep -3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? -8 is represented by 8 negative signs and +4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? A positive and a negative, positive and a negatives will get cancelled. So you're left with 4 negative signs or 4 minus signs. So the answer is -4. Okay. So now 6 plus and minus next to each other. When you have a plus and minus next to each other, just make it as -9. Okay. So in that case, if you want, you have to keep +6 because we are keeping plus signs 6 and negative signs 9, 7, 8, 9, right? So now we can cancel a positive and a negative, which will get cancelled. So how many are remaining? -3. But using the counter method, if you want to do bigger numbers like 250 minus 100, you can't write all the positives and negatives and then do the cancellation, right? It will be hard. Instead of that, excuse me, to add a positive integer and a negative integer, just subtract the two numbers. So in the second example, 9 minus 6 is 3 and keep the sign of the larger absolute value number, and the larger absolute value is 9. It has minus sign. So you're keeping -3. Now, -4 plus 10. So again, both the numbers have opposite signs. Just do the subtraction. 10 minus 4 is 6. And now keep the sign of the larger absolute value number. The larger absolute value is 10 here. And it has a plus sign, so which is +6. Now, -22 plus 7. In this case, again, both of them has opposite numbers. Subtract the two numbers. So 22 minus 7 is 15. And keep the sign of the larger absolute value number, which is -15. And -15 plus 9. Again, both the numbers have opposite signs. Subtract. 15 minus 9 is 6. And keep the sign of the larger absolute value number, which is -6. Okay. So in this video, first examples is 10 plus 15. When both the numbers have the same sign, add the two numbers and keep the same sign. So you got +25. When both the numbers have negative sign, just add the two numbers, which is 35, and keep the negative sign or minus sign. The third point is when you have opposite signs, So positive 16 minus 8. When we have opposite signs, subtract the two numbers. 16 minus 8 is 8 and keep the sign of the larger absolute value number, and the larger number is 16. If it is nothing, it doesn't have any sign, so it is positive, so it is plus 8. Okay. Minus 21 plus 7. In this case, both the numbers have opposite signs. One is a negative number, the other one is a positive number. So subtract the numbers. 21 minus 7 is 14 and keep the sign of the larger absolute value number, and the larger absolute value number is minus, so which is minus 14. Okay. In the next video, I will teach you about subtracting integers. And I will add a PDF in the description link below along with the worksheet so that the kids can practice. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.